Go ahead and get started, guys.
But we'll see. Get it done. They say it reduces over.
All right, good evening. I will now call to order the Monday, January 5th, 2026 regular town council meeting. If you would, please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first item on the agenda is the election of officers for 2026, and first position is president. At this point, I would entertain a motion for president.
I will make a motion to appoint Jason Plunkett as president of the town council.
Second.
I have a first from Councilor Norris, a second from Vice President Burke. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next would be the nomination for vice president, and I would actually nominate current Vice President Burke.
Second.
I've got a second from Councilor Melton. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next on the agenda is the swearing in of firefighters, and we have the mayor with us this evening and Deputy Chief Aaron Gibbons.
Good evening, Council. First, I'd like to welcome one of our 2 battalion chiefs that are going to be getting sworn in tonight. It's going to be Battalion Chief Brian Miller. And he'll be joined by Leah Miller.
You always know when firefighters are going to be sworn in because there are cookies out there. You don't have to be a firefighter to have one. If you're nice, you'll give you one too. So, congratulations. All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Brian Miller. I, Brian Miller. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will support. That I will support. The Constitution of the United States of America. The Constitution of the United States of America. The Constitution of the State of Indiana. The Constitution of the State of Indiana. And the ordinances of the town of Zionsville, Indiana. The ordinances of the town of Zionsville, Indiana. I will faithfully. I will faithfully. Honestly. Honestly. And impartially. Impartially. Discharge all my official duties. Discharge all my official duties. In the position of battalion chief. In the position of battalion chief. For the town of Zionsville. Regardless of the race. Regardless of the race. Creed. Color. Religion. Sex. Or national origin. Of the persons I serve. So help me God. Congratulations.
Next, I'd like to welcome Battalion Chief Mitch Young, accompanied by his wife Sam, kids Julia, Dawson, and Huxley.
Last time he was here, he had to drive about 24 hours straight. This time he just came from the other side of town, so this is a lot easier for him. Could you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Mitch Young. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America. The Constitution of the State of Indiana. And the ordinances of the town of Zionsville, Indiana. I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge all my official duties in the position of battalion chief for the town of Zionsville, regardless of the race.
At this time, I would also like to now welcome probationary firefighter Anthony Bear, and he'll be pinned by his wife, Vanessa Orton.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Anthony Bear,
I, Anthony Bear,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the ordinances of the town of Zionsville, Indiana.
and the ordinance of the town of Zionsville, Indiana.
I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge all my official duties
discharge all of my official duties
in the position of firefighter
in the position of firefighter
for the town of Zionsville,
for the town of Zionsville,
regardless of the race,
regardless of the race,
creed,
creed,
color,
color,
religion,
religion,
sex,
sex,
or national origin
or national origin
of the persons I serve.
of the persons I serve.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
All right, next I'd like to welcome up probationary firefighter Jacob Steiner, and he'll be pinned by his wife, Kimberly Steiner.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jacob Steiner,
I, Jacob Stein,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the ordinances of the town of Zionsville, Indiana.
and the ordinances of the town of Zionsville, Indiana.
I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge all my official duties
discharge all of my official duties
in the position of firefighter
in the position of firefighter
for the town of Zionsville,
for the town of Zionsville,
regardless of the race,
regardless of the race,
creed,
creed,
color,
color,
religion,
religion,
sex,
sex,
or national origin
or national origin
of the persons I serve.
of the persons I serve.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
And if I could real quickly have probationary firefighter Steiner and Bear come back up here to the front for me. So some may be aware we have some traditions that were started, and to give all credit where credit is due, Deputy Chief Frost, who is now retired, started a couple of traditions of some things that the Zionsville Fire Department executive team likes to give our new firefighters as they start their journey into their career. So the first of those, not that many can see, but this is a necklace, and it has each of their unit numbers imprinted on it. And it has the St. Florian, which is the patron saint of firefighters, on it. It's one of those that no matter what your denomination is for religion, we ask that you wear this as a reminder, so every time you feel it on your chest, you remember that there are many people counting on you, whether they're fellow firefighters, whether it's your family members, or whether it's your fellow firefighters that you're going on, or I'm sorry, the citizens that you're going to serve. So we ask that both of you please accept these necklaces, and if you please would do so, wear them as those gentle reminders. I have one for each of you. And now, so these, as you can see, are bottles of bourbon. And what you will find on them is they've been engraved with a date that they can only be opened on or after. And that on or after date is December 5th, 2045, which is after you would have 20 years of service minimally and to be able to retire from the job. We'd like you to put this in a prominent place in your home as a reminder of why we do the things we do, but then to share with your fellow coworkers, family members, to remember all the things that you went through, whether it be Recruit Academy, whether it be the tough times whenever you're on shift, or whatever it took to get you to retirement. And we ask that you just keep this in a prominent place as that reminder as you work your way through your minimum of 20-year career.
Thank you. That's always, certainly always special. So I appreciate every time we have the opportunity to do swearing-ins here. Certainly thankful to the families for coming out. I see some Merit Board personnel here as well. I'm sure none of you want to stick around for the rest of the meeting, so we'll go ahead and pause for a minute or so, let you guys clear out of here, and you can go out and celebrate. So thank you very much. Agenda, we have the Zionsville High School Girls Golf State Championship Team proclamation from Mayor Stair.
And they're entering the room as we speak. Would you like to get up here and stand in front of the council, please? And face the audience? These young ladies won the state golf championship in October, but because of various cold days and snowfall and meetings that were canceled due to holidays, we haven't been able to get them in here until now to honor them for what they've done. Anybody who's ever been engaged in athletics knows that winning a championship is hard. Something that may be harder, though, is winning 2 years in a row, the same championship, when you have that target on your back. So they have done a tremendous job. They've made the town proud. And we have a proclamation here that I'd like to read as I pass it on to them. Whereas the Zionsville High School girls golf team won the Indiana High School Athletic Association State Championship on October 3rd and 4th, 2025, at Prairie View Golf Club in Carmel with a two-day score of 607, 22 strokes better than their nearest competitor. And whereas it is the Eagles' third overall championship and the second win in a row by the same group of starters who won last year, despite the intense pressure placed on them to repeat. And whereas sophomore golfer Taylor Snively became the 8th golfer in Indiana history to repeat as state champion by carding a 2-day score of 141, 3 strokes under par, despite being 3 shots down at the beginning of the final day. And whereas Taylor became the first golfer in IHSAA history to win the individual girls golf championship in each of her first 2 years of high school, and the team's head coach, Maggie Nobby, has played a role in all 3 of Zionsville High School state championships as a player in 2017 and as coach in 2024 and 2025. And whereas golfers Amaya Wade, Paige Henney, Avery Lewis, and Olivia Patton each shot under 160 for the tournament, and their teammate, Caitlin Alder, finished a solid 31st, just outside of the state preview. Now, therefore, I, John Stair, the mayor of Zionsville, do hereby honor and commend the Zionsville High School girls golf team for winning back-to-back state championships, and in recognition of their excellence, dedication, and the pride they have brought to our community. I urge all residents to join me in celebrating this team, their accomplishments, and the example that they have set for our town.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maggie, and I'm the girls' golf head coach. First off, I just want to thank all of you for giving us this time and this proclamation. I mean, this is so special and so cool for this to happen, and for the girls, and now their second time. It means a lot, and I think it's just what makes Zionsville different, makes us special. Obviously, John kind of said everything about our stats. And not only are these girls just incredibly talented and hard workers, what's so special about them is how much they care about one another. These girls like to have a good time out there on the course. They're there for one another. The first thing out of their mouth is, how's the team doing, not how am I doing, stacked up against everyone else. And that's a valid question because these girls are very strong and they each can score really low and place individually. So I think just knowing that they all have each other's backs and they're here as a team makes this group special and represents Zionsville really well. So we just want to thank you for having us, and we appreciate it.
But also, shouldn't it be noted, weren't you the conference coach of the year, or? Yes, so, yeah, good coaching.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, next item on the agenda is the Tree Board Z Tree of the Year presentation. And before we have Chairwoman Greta Sanderson come up here to the mic, I believe Councilor McElday would like to say a few words.
Thank you, President Plunkett. I would like to
As a sitting member of the Tree Board, sorry.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to take a minute to thank the Zionsville Tree Board for their service to the town. I'm not sure everyone understands, but we've been recognized, we're thinking 23 to 24 years straight, by the Arbor Day Foundation as a tree city, thanks to their existence and their hard work. They've created a comprehensive tree list. If you're ever wondering what to plant and where, they also have created a non-invasive and non-native and invasive species that you should avoid planting. Over the years, they've handed out thousands of saplings that are now mature trees in the town of Zionsville, and they advocate and celebrate trees and fauna that make our town beautiful. So I did want to just read their names real quickly so that for those that are listening, those of you that are in the crowd, can take just a moment to thank them for their service to the town. Greta Sanderson is our president, Dan Bradley, Michael Owens, Pauline Coderre, Michael Billig, Michael Mindell, and we also have a student advisor who attends Zionsville Community High School named Dan Larson. So thank you very much to the Tree Board, and I'll let you take it away, Greta.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those kind words. Good evening. I appreciate a few minutes to present this year's Tree of the Year winner. So as Tim said, we do present, the Zionsville Tree Board celebrates Zionsville's designation as a Tree City USA with this contest that really highlights the significance of trees in our natural spaces and the ecological and economic benefits that trees provide to our communities. So we have residents submit their nominations with photos and an explanation about the tree, and then we select a winner from that. Very pleased to recognize this year's winner. This is a chinkapin oak. It is a member of the white oak family and likely at least 250 to possibly 300 years old. So if you think about it, we're celebrating America 250 with the start of this new year. This tree was likely here when that all started, so it's kind of mind-boggling when you really think about it. And this couple was so dedicated to this tree and preserving this tree that they actually bought the adjacent lot and kept it vacant so that this tree could still remain standing and be protected in the Willows subdivision on 300 South across from Union Elementary. So that is just how much they valued this tree, and I think that is still the only vacant lot that's in the Willows still. So when you think about all the things that trees do bring to our community, safety, shade, energy consumption, helps the environment. We're really working to make sure that we're trying to promote urban forestry. That not only includes planting new trees, but conserving some of these beautiful trees that we already have. So please join me in welcoming Peter and Carol Bick, and this year's winner of the Tree of the Year contest.
Smile. Yeah.
If you haven't noticed in the lobby there when you come in, this does hang up right up there on the wall. It's just a symbol of our commitment to trees in Zionsville and our Tree City designation. So this will replace the current picture that's there and hang there for another year, and then it will be given to the Bicks for them to keep. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Up next on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. Are there any questions from counselors?
I have a correction. In the minutes on page 36, it's not writing, it's writing. WR, when I'm speaking.
Okay, thank you.
Heather, we've done this a couple times in the past, but since these are on the consent agenda, and this may be just for clarification, any modifications, we can still just approve the consent agenda with those corrections. Is that? Yes. Yeah, okay. All right. Is there anything else from counselors? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
We got a first from Counselor McElderry, second from Vice President Burke. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next would be requests to speak on agenda items. Amy, do we have any requests to speak?
No, we do not.
All right, thank you. Moving on to first item of old business is a consideration of an ordinance approving a letter of agreement between the Town of Zionsville and Citizens Energy. This is the second reading, ordinance 2025-27, continued from December 15, 2025 meeting. You'll notice on the agenda, this is listed as no public comment, and the agenda item will not be heard at this meeting. I just want to point out, I appreciate everyone's patience on this. As we discussed at the last meeting, the town council has sought legal representation in this matter. I've entered into an agreement with local representation, and we've submitted questions and would anticipate additional dialogue moving forward. I know there's a lot of interest from a lot of folks, many folks not in this room right now, to even just communicate with this particular attorney. And until, I just want to point out, until we have all of our answers that we have, all of our questions answered, it's likely that that information won't be shared. But once we do have it, then we're certainly happy to share that relationship. So At this point, I will make a motion to continue this to the February meeting.
Second.
I have a second from Counselor Sampson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Next on the agenda is new business, and we have the Board, Commission, and Committee for 2026 appointments. This is Resolution 2026-01. I do want to take a moment and just thank everyone from the public who has served in the past and engaged in the board and commission process. Certainly thankful for those that have served. It's not easy to find folks to come and do this, so we want to make sure that we celebrate those folks that do. As in the past, we historically give folks the opportunity to continue on the upcoming year, should they decide they want to do that. For this particular term, we did have 2 vacancies as it relates to new appointments and then 1 change. So we have, everyone essentially has moved forward from last year until this year, with the exception of Chris Lee on the Safety Board and Tracy Rothwell on the Tree Board. And then we have Counselor Craig Melton will be appointed to the Plan Commission to fulfill Dave Fran's remaining term on the Plan Commission. So,
I have one question. Been looking at the list, people are designated as urban or rural, and I was wondering if that's the urban or rural service district or their zoning that they live in.
that's a great question. I think the, Heather, I don't know if you want to.
It's typically applied to the service district because the reorganization talks about the service districts and not zoning classification. So the premise behind this, just for the public and for the town council, of why the town had, individuals from both an urban district and a rural district, is when we went through the 3 reorganizations to Union and Perry initially, and then the second, Union and Eagle, and then Perry Township is the second one. They wanted to make sure that those individuals who had previously had township representation were still being served by the town, and that those individuals that were in a more rural setting would also have representation on town boards and commissions. So that's the premise behind it.
But
And some of it
what
applies
would the
and
difference
some of it
between,
doesn't.
we have some rural that have urban service?
Probably as they've moved into service.
I
as
just meant
those
who
community-
would that person fall under, rural or urban?
If it's changed, if their designation has changed to an urban service district, they would be urban. And it doesn't apply to all boards and commissions, so it depends on which specific commission it is applicable to. Not all of them have that requirement. So for example, like the Plan Commission does not have that requirement under state statute. There's specific language in state statute that talks about the constitution of a reorganized city plan commission. It's only applicable to Zionsville. So I don't know if that's what, it completely depends on which of these boards or commissions.
I just
you have a
noticed on
question
some of
about.
the list, it had designation between rural and urban on the mayors, and it just made me think, are we doing that on all of them? What ones are applicable to that? I know BZA and Plan were listed, but then the Park Board was too. So that is what got me to thinking.
The Plan Commission and BZA don't have those designations by state statute, because it's somewhat confusing. There was some language in the 2008 reorg that talked about this split, and then it said, but if the legislature comes in and changes the law. The legislature did come in and change the law subsequently, but we never went back and rewrote our code of ordinances. So we're in the process. We will update that this year, and you'll have something that comes before you to make it more transparent for the town appointees that this is the way they're being appointed per state statute.
I think that was my ultimate question, is that shifting with the change from the state, do we need to designate if people are urban or rural per Zionsville? But we have to rewrite the ordinance to not do it?
We don't have to rewrite the ordinance. The statute would be what would stand, because the statute's always going to take precedent over the code. We need to update our code to reflect what the statute says, which we don't currently we haven't currently done. And there's reasons behind that, which I'm happy to share with you offline.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if the
Not with
question
this
is,
administration,
if the
I should
question is, do we have to label them on the boards and commissions that we are not required to adhere to urban, rural, we don't put that on there. The ones that, again, to Heather's point, and the Plan Commission, I know in the past, has been something that's brought up a lot because the original documentation required it, but with state statute not requiring, they really, I mean, the reality is they give us a significant amount of leniency as it relates to how we want to constitute the Plan Commission, we meaning the town council. So the urban versus rural makeup of that board isn't what everybody kind of thought it was to begin with.
And there may be some nuances in the Parks Board, because the Parks Board language is a little bit different in the reorg and in the statute. It doesn't mirror the Plan Commission and BZA statutory provisions.
I don't know.
Learn something new every day.
I know.
As you can tell, I spent a lot of time researching this, so I'm happy to
this-
like walk through the analysis.
It's
with
just hard when
anybody.
I see the two different lists of appointees and one is designated. It made me go, should we
I
have
think it's because
designated?
we've historically always appointed in that fashion, and recently we've researched all of the boards and commission appointments to make sure that we were doing it both pursuant to the reorg and then figure out what needed to be revised in the Code of Ordinances, which we hope to put forward this year, is revisions to all of the code that has all those remnants of old language, and then layer it in with the statute. Sometimes the statute are specific to all cities and towns. Sometimes there's specific language for a reorganized unit, which is very specific to the town of Zionsville.
Okay, so I should be looking for a revision to the ordinance on appointments. Okay.
On Plan Commission and BZA, for sure. Yep.
Both of them would then drop that.
Rural versus urban
Correct,
designation.
exactly.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Do you hear that?
And I believe, Heather, you're going to be kind of bringing forward a number of things this year.
Yeah,
As
so-
you're researching and reevaluating and making sure that we're completely
Yep.
lined up.
That's right. So town leadership and John Oberlander, myself, mayor, deputy mayor, we've all talked about doing a code of ordinance update for a number of years because we've got old language that still references a town marshal when we've had a chief of police for a number of years. We've just got language that has been layered in there over many years and kind of cobbled together. So we're just going to do a refresh and make sure that, you know, if you're reading the code of ordinance, it accurately reflects what we're doing so the town public can be, you know, aware of the process and where we're deriving the appointments, recommendations, et cetera. So
Okay.
it's been a goal we've had on our agenda for a couple of years, couldn't get done previously, and are revisiting with the previous administration. Now we're revisiting.
We had a lot going on during the past administration, so, but that was a goal of ours.
That's right.
To accommodate some of that. Counselor Sampson, are there some recommendations with regards to the questions of rural versus urban?
In all honesty, it was
In the
that I
appoint-
had two sheets of people being appointed, and one shows the designation of if you're rural or urban, and the other one doesn't. And so I wanted to just double check that we're doing it right. So.
I'm in the rural designation, just FYI.
Well, okay, and I'm urban. So the point is, it just made me wonder if, as people rolled off, were we replacing the right people with the right people? So I had no way of verifying that. I don't know where everybody lives. I got a name on a piece of paper, and I'm supposed to say yes. So it's just a detail.
Well, yeah, I would say you're not just supposed to say yes. I mean, this is the first I've heard of questions about urban versus rural from you. I mean, you could have asked those questions before. We could have gone through it.
Yeah. Yeah, we could
And
have.
and we don't vote on the mayor's appointments. Those are his appointments.
Oh,
So
I know.
those are the ones that are the
I
highlighted
actually don't
ones
have
there.
any questions about the people that we're appointing. I'm fine with who we're appointing. I'm just making sure we did our part if we were supposed to, and she's saying it's fine. That's all. But I had no knowledge to base this on, so I thought I would ask her.
I do think there's a look at making sure it's inclusive boards and commissions, so I know that the recommendations coming forward from the mayor's team and council leadership also have looked at, you know, do we have good representation that's holistic, representing the whole town? Because we've got people in rural service districts and urban service districts, but a lot of the statutory requirements don't actually require them. It's really an old remnant from like 2008 that's been layered on since then, so.
Well, and I had known that some neighborhoods had flipped from rural to urban, and I was trying to follow at what point is it logical to flip a neighborhood and follow what neighborhoods had been flipped, and then had heard that some weren't recorded timely. And so it just made me notice neighborhoods around me that were still rural, even though we are clearly more in the urban of Zionsville. So then I asked what a neighborhood was, and they said, oh, it's rural, but it has urban service district. And I was like, okay, now I don't know what that neighborhood is. So that's really what led this question.
And I can share that. I'm happy to walk that through with anybody. There is language in the reorganization that talks about when you bring a service, when someone receives certain services, they come into the district because then they're being taxed at a different level.
Right.
Because they're getting the amenities. I mean, that
Right.
whole two-district bifurcation was to ensure that people that were
Not getting
rural
services,
and
yeah.
not getting services wouldn't pay the same amount as someone getting services in the urban district.
This was actually a topic that was brought up in the last meeting. When do people know that they are urban versus rural? It was in one of the bond discussions. And it was, how do you know if you have sewer or versus septic, do you suddenly become urban? And the answer was, well, not exactly. So I don't know, I guess I wondered. Sorry if that bothered you.
And I'm happy to sit down and talk with anyone, or we could put a training together at some point, because it is complicated, and there's lots of layers. But I have lots of history on it, and know John Oberlander's looked at it as well, so.
Mr. Mayor, we were tardy in a few from the last administration, so maybe when you first came on the board, I don't remember, maybe right before, we had some that came on that we moved to urban that should have probably been urban 3 or 4 years ago. It just didn't move through. COVID happened, a number of things, so we got a little delayed, but I think we're up to date now.
Any other questions or comments from counselors? I would make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-01. I got a second from Vice President Burke. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next on the agenda is the consideration of a resolution regarding the comprehensive plan, Resolution 2026-02. You'll also notice that this is listed as an item to be continued and will be heard at the next meeting. I want to take a quick moment and just thank HWC and their team for the work that they've done, as well as many of the members up here on the council. I'm not sure how many meetings took place, how many hundreds of people were engaged and involved in this process. Residents, council members, town staff, Plan Commission, obviously. But just in looking at this is a pretty big bite to take, so I wanted us to have an opportunity to review everything in advance of the next meeting. So that's why it's on the agenda as an item to be continued without public hearing as well. Heather, can we talk just briefly before I make the motion to continue this? There's typically when items come to the town council from the Plan Commission, we're up against a little bit of a time crunch here. It's my understanding that a comprehensive plan is not the same.
That's correct. It's
Okay.
not one of the planning development plans, so.
Which means we have
my understanding.
a significant amount of leeway here to make sure we get this right.
Correct.
Whether it's modifications, send back, vice versa, whatever it is.
Yes, that's my understanding.
So,
We don't.
okay.
I would, if I could real quick, just for all of us up here, if you have any specific comments specifically with regard to the future land use map, which I think is the one that most of us are focused on anyways, come to me, bring it to my attention, because I worked with Adam and the rest of the team on, how we got it to where it is. And I want to make sure that I can at least explain to you before we get out in front of everyone why this is the way it is, or why is this not the way it is, and stuff like that. So reach out to me first, if you want to, and I can, happy to discuss. But a lot of, just to echo, for the past, 16, 18 months, a lot of work has gone into this, a lot of work. And so for anyone to say that they didn't know about it, or that'd just be disingenuous and flat out a lie. So Just want to make that known.
If I could, real quickly, I did go to the last planning commission meeting and sat through the entire thing and saw their debate about everything. And there were some things that Adam actually from the podium said, we probably need to discuss this, that never got discussed. So I don't think anybody's suggesting that, something's trying to get pushed through or anything, but there were literally opportunities to address it at the planning commission level, and they didn't get to it. Now, there were some things that happened during the meeting that kind of got them distracted. It really wasn't entirely their fault.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
But I do think there is an opportunity to come back and look at a couple extra things just to make sure we've got it right. So I will be reaching out. Thank you for that offer.
Okay, yep.
All right, at this point, I will make a motion to continue Resolution 2026-02.
Second.
I have a second from Counselor Norris. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next on the agenda is a presentation regarding the certain financial disclosures related to the West Side Fire Station project. We have Chris Greisel from Barnes & Thornburg.
Thank you, President Plunkett, members of the council. Happy New Year. It's great to be back in front of you. For the record, Chris Greisel, Barnes & Thornburg. I'm with my colleague Max Adams here tonight. We also have your municipal advisor with Crow, Angie Stino, and Cole Ferguson to answer any questions. With respect to the fire station project, you may recall in December, we were before you with an introductory resolution regarding this project, which is the construction of an approximately 21,000 square foot fire station to replace the services that were provided by the Perry Township Volunteer Fire Department, which services are ending at the end of this year in 2026. The town proposes to issue general obligation bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $8,650,000 to finance the project. As the council may recall from our presentation in December, this project is considered a controlled project, but it's not subject to mandatory petition remonstrance under Indiana law. Because these bonds are being issued to finance a controlled project, the town's not able to impose property taxes to pay debt service on the bonds without conducting at least 2 public hearings and then adopting a resolution making a preliminary determination to issue the bonds. So tonight is our first preliminary determination public hearing. We have our second public hearing scheduled for your February town council meeting. And after the completion of those 2 preliminary determination public hearings and your consideration of a resolution, we'll then start the bond ordinance process to follow that. Before you tonight, before we open the public hearing, we have provided a draft resolution. Ultimately, this resolution that you see before you will be in final format in February, but it provides all the information and the financial statistics that are necessary in these preliminary determination hearings that we produce before entering into the bond ordinance. And so you're going to see a lot of information regarding maximum parameters of the bond, which we went over during last month's meeting. But you're also going to see certain information regarding the town's debt service levy and their rate, both prior to the issuance of the bond and assumptions made after we would issue debt on the project. And so if you have any particular questions about any of that information, myself or the team from Crow, we're happy to answer those questions here tonight. But ultimately, we'd ask that you conduct the public hearing and move forward in the process, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right. At this point, this is a public hearing, and I have proof of the publication of the notice of the public hearing. At this point, I will open the public hearing. So any members of the public who would like to speak? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Given there's no action, do we just move on, Heather, to the next item? All right, up next is the presentation regarding certain financial disclosures related to the DPW campus project. Again, Chris Greisel with Barnes & Thornburg.
Thank you, President Plunkett, members of the council. Chris Greisel, Barnes & Thornburg. With me is my colleague Max Adams and the team from Crow, Angie Stino and Josh Ferguson, tonight to talk about the DPW campus. Again, in December, as you may recall, we were before you with an introductory resolution regarding this project, which is the construction of a new DPW operations facility planned to be developed at or near 4140 South 875 East Zionsville. The town proposes to issue general obligation bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $14,745,000 to finance the project. Similar to the fire station, as the council may recall, this is a controlled project under Indiana law, but is not subject to mandatory petition remonstrance. So similar to the fire station, because these bonds are being financed to issue a controlled project, the town may not impose property taxes to pay debt service on the bonds without first conducting at least 2 public hearings on this matter, and then adopting a preliminary determination resolution before entering into the bond ordinance. So tonight, again, is the first of those 2 public hearings. We then have the second public hearing scheduled before you at your February town council meeting. Similar to the fire station resolution, we've provided a draft resolution for you, which will be in final format in February, again, going over the maximum parameters of the bond and information regarding the debt service levy, both pre-bond issuance and post-bond issuance. Again, happy to answer any questions. Team from Crows here is happy to answer any questions, but ultimately, we'd ask that you conduct a public hearing and we move on.
Very good. At this point, this is a public hearing. I have proof of the publication of the notice of the public hearing. At this point, I will open the public hearing if there's any members from the public who would like to speak. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Thank you very much. Up next on the agenda is the consideration of an ordinance regarding a sewage works bond. This is a first reading, ordinance 2026-01. Again, Chris Greisel with Barnes & Thornburg.
Thank you, President Plunkett, members of the council. Chris Greisel, Barnes & Thornburg. We're here tonight to talk about the first reading of the sewage works revenues bonds. Again, in December, we were before you with an introductory resolution regarding this project, which involves several upgrades to the town's sewage works facilities, which includes replacement of pumps at the main lift station, upgrades to the Boone Village lift station, new headworks at the treatment plant, a belt filter press replacement, process instrumentation, new non-potable water pump station, and electrical and SCADA upgrades. The town's maximum budget for completing this project is $9,600,000. However, as you may recall, a portion of that budget is being made up of cash on hand and availability fees from the sewer. And so the town plans to issue sewage works revenue bonds in a maximum principal amount not to exceed $7,030,000 to complete the financing of the project. In general, the sewage works revenue bonds are payable solely from the revenues of the sewage works for which they are issued and are not a corporate indebtedness of the municipality. So this proposed project was previously taken into consideration by the council during your most recent rate increase back in 2025. So before you tonight is first reading of the bond ordinance, laying out maximum parameters of the bond, as well as some further details about the bond process itself. We're happy to answer any questions. Crow's here as well to answer any questions. Ultimately, we'll be back before you in February for a second reading and potentially final consideration of the sewer bond ordinance before we move forward with that project. So at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, are there any questions for Mr. Greisel? All right, having none, I will make a motion to introduce on first reading ordinance 2026-01.
Second.
A second from Councilor Melton. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next on the agenda, other matters. Are there any other matters from councilors?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out, since we're acknowledging local champions. I want to give a shout out to the dedicated players and coaches of the Zionsville 8th grade All-Stars team for being the first Zionsville team in the history to win the Battle of Rocky Top Championship 2 years in a row. And I just want you all to pay attention to this team of players as they continue into high school, because I think they're definitely going to be stars. So,
Definitely something special.
yeah, thank you.
Anything else from councilors?
I would, just a couple of housekeeping things if I can, just real quick. So one, especially with Councilor Melton, as we continue, as this council, right, continues to evolve, we're halfway through this term, right? I'm starting to think about ways that we can maybe create some efficiencies, some ways to move forward, right, that make sense. Especially, you know, I look at the Planning Commission, especially as a place where I think there can be efficiencies made. And if Mike Dale were here tonight, I wanted to address this with him and to bring up some of these ideas. But for a while now, I've been kind of hinting at we need a residential review committee and a commercial review committee on the planning commission to review projects as they come in, so that we're not taking 90 days of back and forth and going back and forth. So, you know, something that I guess I want to make publicly known, that I think having residential and commercial review committees on the planning commission. So Craig, if you know, that's an initiative that the planning commission wants to seek, I think it'd be a great idea, as well as, you know, for a couple of years now, I think it would help me specifically with if this council could get a, you know, maybe a finance committee or a budget committee kind of put together, so we could start tackling the budget early on, things like that. I also thought maybe a public works committee, because we seem to have certain boards and commissions that I think may not be as efficient as they could be. So if we wanted to create certain subcommittees within this council, I would just ask if leadership would consider some of those things, especially the budget committee kind of going into it. I need somebody to rely on going through the year.
Sure.
And so just some things and some ideas that I've had kind of percolating.
I like both of those ideas for both Public Works and Finance, just feeling like someone has their eye on it, or if, since those are two of my interests, if I'm reading things that it would seem information coming from me is because I was on a committee with a group that we discussed it. Because a lot of times when we get up here, you're like, oh, you know, why are you bringing it up in the meeting? It's just getting to everyone one-on-one is actually difficult with everyone's schedules. So I would say those two especially is something that we, with all that's going on with redoing DPW, talking about utilities, both stormwater, north side, capacity here, it just seems like a better point of contact if we all work together that way.
And that way, the subcommittee could kind of look, when we have, you know, something, a big resolution coming up, or a big ordinance or something like that, right? The subcommittee could kind of do the groundwork, the legwork, give recommendations to the greater council, you know, as well. So just kind of updates here and there kind of thing.
So these are subcommittees within the council,
Within
not?
us.
Within us.
I thought,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you initially said within the planning commission.
Oh, no,
Oh,
no,
that was
sorry.
his
I meant,
original.
those are two separate issues. The planning commission one is just the one that's burning. It's burning, and I've been wanting to do it for a year or two and haven't gotten any traction with it. So hopefully now, 2026, hopefully this can be something we can look forward to.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
But I heard him say that, and I was like, hey, I like that idea for us as a group to have a committee that maybe digs in a little deeper, when it's all just our leadership team, not necessarily all the information trickles down or out, and I think it's just an overload of responsibility on them.
Yeah, I think I like those ideas. Heather, would we have to have staff for those? I mean, I think we've talked about doing different committees and subcommittees in the past, over the
Yes.
last handful of years that I've been on the council, and the problem has always been needing some staffing for that.
Yeah, so I think the law changed recently, I'm pulling it up, but any committee that would have more than one town council member would have to be a public meeting, would have to be staffed, and then whatever topics and agenda you all were working on would have to be created. You'd have to have the right staff members from the town here. So it would be a process. It's not, I'm not saying it's not one you can achieve, but it's going to create a lot of, you're going to have to make sure you've got proper staffing and support in place to do that.
And that's a huge part. As somebody that's been on the Pathways Committee for several years now, requiring the staff to work 6 a.m., what time is it, to 8 p.m., it's a challenge for the staff to get to our meetings and these additional meetings. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I like more communication, more progress, more things done, let's do it. But, you know, that's something that we have a problem with is, you know, we can't just require these town engineers, these DPW heads to hit every one of these. So we just got to be conscientious that, so with this council, I would ask that we, you know, you dig into your pocket and, you know, you meet during the daytime, you know, from when they're here working. That's what we have to kind of compromise on. Otherwise, they may not be able to make it. They got families, they got lives. So That's all I'm saying. I've witnessed that with the Pathways Committee. That was some of the challenges, like some of the time we can't get a staff member from the town to show up. Because we also have to move meetings sometimes, so
Yeah.
the one running the meeting can show up,
Well,
because we all have, things going on.
And hopefully, like a Public Works Committee could address pathways, snow removal, everything in one fell swoop instead of, knocking out a bunch of different ideas and things. Sorry, I wasn't aware of the staffing requirements, which is obviously.
Is that what RDC has to have,
Well, RDC's
staff
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
in your
And-
finance
And
and?
Plan Commission and other, yes, all of the public
No,
bodies.
I don't mean the RDC itself. They have subcommittees on the RDC, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, subcommittees. So I think, are we calling it the wrong thing? Like, not an official committee, but maybe
Well,
like a
any-
team?
Any committee of the designated body appointed by this body that has more than one town council member is an official public body for purposes of open door law and requires public meetings. You would need staff, you would have an agenda, you would have all of the requirements that you have at a town council meeting.
So the RDC probably doesn't have the same requirements because there's only one town council member on there.
I don't know what their requirements are. I don't want to do this ad hoc because we haven't
Yeah.
not looked into this. I mean, this is a lot getting kind of thrown
Yeah,
out.
sorry.
I think we'd have to research it, but, I mean, I would certainly say that a town council committee would require staffing and an agenda and a public meeting and notice and all the things that we require. Doesn't mean you can't do it, just it's going to take a lot of time and energy to set up, just make sure it's set up correctly and staffed correctly. And we do that, for Board of Police Commissioners and Safety Board and all of those types of things.
What if we had a secretary? And then
It's not going to
that would
change.
do it, then I'm trying to.
It's not gonna
then
change
what
the
that
legal
person could be the
process that-
point person for Public Works, or I'm just trying to think of.
It's not gonna change. I mean, I'd prefer to have a conversation offline to figure out what you all are collectively interested in and figure out how to staff it. Because there's also delineations of powers of this body and what is required of the mayor and the mayor's team. And I think you have to be careful what the reorganization states in terms of who should be doing what. This is a legislative body, not an executive body. So
Right.
There's a bifurcation of powers there as well. So I certainly would want to look at all those things before advising.
Yeah, it was just an idea, so just throwing it out there.
Any other items from counselors? All right, before we get out of here, I just want to remind the public, I believe the last road realignment meeting is January 13th. Is that right?
Yeah, 5 to 7.
It's listed, I know it's just it's listed as 2025 on here, but that's 2026, January 23rd, 2026, 5 to 7 here at Town Hall upstairs in the community room.
January 13th,
January 13th, what did I say?
23rd.
23rd.
Jiminy Christmas. January 13th, 2026, 5 to 7, Zionsville Town Hall, St. Vincent's Community Room 207. So certainly want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to attend that can. I want to take a moment and just thank this council for their support of the last year. Thank the mayor for his support and working with him as well. I do not take lightly the responsibility of being president of this council and working for the folks in this town, and I appreciate Vice President Burke's work over the last year. Has become a really, the last couple of years, a trusted advisor and counselor to me as well. And I believe this to be a really good council, and I think we've got a lot of good things ahead of us. So thank you all
Thank you for
very
your
much.
leadership, both of you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
If there's nothing else, at this point, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
From Vice President Burke, I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed. The next regular town council meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 2nd, 2026, at 7 p.m. in the Zionsville Town Hall Council Chambers. Please note, there will be no mid-month meeting in January due to the observance of Martin Luther King Day. Final notice will be posted in compliance with the Indiana Open Door Law. Thank you.